Good evening, everyone. The regular meeting of this Independent School District 279 School Board is called to order at 6 p.m. on June 25th, 2024. This regular business meeting of the Osseo School Board is being conducted in the boardroom of the Educational Service Center. The meeting can be monitored electronically by streaming online from the district website. An archive recording of tonight's meeting will also be available on the district website. Seated in front of you this evening from my left and your right are Director Thomas Brooks, Director Heather Douglas, Director Tanya Prince, myself, Jackie Mosqueda Jones, Director Sarah Mitchell, and Director Tamara Grady. Superintendent Dr. Kim Heil and members of the Superintendent's Cabinet are also here this evening. Those of you who can, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Director Prince, will you please lead the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Board members, are there any additions to the agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion to accept the agenda as revised? It has been revised since the initial posting.
So moved.
Moved by Director Brooks. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Director Grady. Is there any discussion? Essentially just the order of things changed. Nothing went back on or off. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. Okay. Our next standing agenda item is recognitions. There are no recognitions this evening. The next agenda item is audience opportunity to address the school board. We have 4 people that have given me cards to speak. I will review a few of the guidelines for those who will speak to the board. As you all know, we are all here for one community and for the best interests of our students. You will be called in the podium in this order: student, parent, staff, community member, and others. When I call your name, please come to the microphone and state your name, the topic, and whether or not you're a district resident. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes. Address the entire board. That means we're not addressing an individual board member or the audience verbally or with posters or literature. Handouts for board members are to be placed on the information table or given to the board secretary. The board secretary will provide copies to the board members. The board and audience will listen and not respond back at this time. If you would like someone to follow up with you on your questions and or comments, please let Sherry, the board secretary, know. Concerns about a particular book can be brought to the review committee through the procedure 652. We have one tonight. Comments and interactions between board members and the public are expected to be civil, of course, and respectful. For the good of our community, personnel concerns should always be directed in this order: building principal, executive director for human resources, assistant superintendent, superintendent, and then finally in writing to the school board. At this time, I would like to call up Natalie to speak. Thank you, Natalie.
Good evening. My name is Natalie Sonic, and I have a child attending the school district. I'm here tonight to read a statement from Gays Against Groomers, a national organization consisting of over 800,000 followers, made up of only LGBT and team members speaking out on issues affecting the LGBT community and the dangerous things being done to children in their name. Their statement is as follows. Multiple concerned parents have reached out to us regarding Osseo Maple Grove School District's controversial and highly sexually graphic books in their school libraries. Sexuality, regardless of gender identity, does not belong in an educational environment, especially without parental consent. When school officials choose to take it upon themselves to place psychologically harmful sexually graphic containing books in the schools, they open up the door to pornography and sexual abuse. The information contained in the books has been medically proven to cause an increase in sexual activity, higher rate of STDs due to the risky behaviors that are graphically suggested in these books, pregnancy, and students putting themselves in harmful situations to include, but are not limited to, sexual assaults by adults. There may have been good intentions with these books, but there is a reason these books must be removed. To put it simply, they are highly inappropriate and dangerous for our children. A school's job is to educate the approved curriculum. Getting children on par with reading, math, science, and history must be the top priority, not providing materials on how to have sex or read pornographic fiction. Focus on giving a real education so this district can achieve more than just 43% proficiency rate for elementary students in reading, or a 29% proficiency in basic math for your high school graduates. Have you given up on your students? You are not teaching equality as you pretend it is. Graphic sex does not mean one will become tolerant or have respect for others. It teaches the opposite. We must be teaching them to put their best effort forward to be a better person. But that's the parent's job and not yours. Your focus should be teaching STEM subjects, which many students are currently failing. That is your job.
And then Mark Brenner.
Hi, my name is Mark Brenner. I have children in the district, and I'm going to be finishing the statement from Gays Against Groomers. Ask yourself, why is it imperative for you to provide books that speak on masturbation, provide a visual guide on how to insert vegetables into a young girl's vagina, instructions on how to taste their own genital fluids as seen in the book Genderqueer, which is in the school library and even has a book rating printed in the books Not for Minors. This book also fully shows minors having graphic oral sex with full imagery. District 279 schools also have books that provide even more highly sexual imagery, such as in the book Fun Home, that provided clear images of an individual performing oral sex on another individual with full nudity in view, and has a storyline of a high school teacher who grooms students for sex. The book Let's Talk About It, also found in the library, shows minors how to take cell phone selfies of their genitals, which is a felony in all 50 states. The book Lawn Boy, also in your school library, contains graphic descriptions of sex between men and children. This book is gay, provides an instruction manual for how to download Grindr, an adult-only app that has notoriously been filled with adults engaging in sexual activity with minors. In short, the things that are provided are not for minors, and they desensitize children to adult sexual activities and images. If any parents are seeking resources that provide helpful guides on growing up LGBT, guides that do not prey on children or actively seek to desensitize children to topics of graphic sex, especially with adults, please reach out to any of us in Gays Against Groomers. Our goal is to preserve the innocence of all children, something we wish this school district would do again. Sincerely, Brian Schaff. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie Smith.
Hi, my name's Julie Smith. I'm a parent and a resident. I'm here for the book review process as well. I'm also a volunteer at a domestic abuse shelter, and I co-lead 2 organizations that promote hope for youth. I'm here to address some misconceptions regarding the book challenges. I know the people who have brought these books forward. I'm one of them. And we are doing these because we are concerned about our students. We believe sexually explicit books do not provide any educational value and should be removed or at least restricted. They should also be labeled with a warning and a rating system. Some are also concerned that endocrine disrupting chemicals are affecting our youth and it's going unchecked, and that trauma will not be discovered or worked through because everything is deemed as normal. There is something going on with our kids. They are hurting. We as adults need to come together to work this out. Certain individuals are trying to obscure the truth and make these challenges about hate or discrimination. That is false. They seem to have ulterior motives and are not in line with serving the students in our district.
I'm stating this from a personal experience. I have followed the process. I have been ignored, sent in wrong directions, usually to you guys, the board, and given vague answers in order to skirt responsibility. The request to take my review to the next level was sent in May 9th. It didn't go through. I had to resubmit it. It was then acknowledged that it was received on May 17th, and I would hear something I still have not. In the past, some people have thought reading step-by-step instructions on how to perform certain sex acts in order to be loved, or that being sexually abused is common, could help one struggling student, meanwhile not caring how it affects the rest of our students. The book I'm contesting graphically details the rape of a 12-year-old girl. She's brutally raped into unconsciousness by her dad, gets pregnant, the baby dies, her dad dies, she goes crazy. Completely devastating. There are other books that deal with these issues that could be in there instead. Someone sent in false information to Fox 9 after our February board meeting by blending two completely different agenda items to make our district look hateful and discriminatory. I was at the meeting and I know it was false reporting. Lying will solve nothing. And if that individual or individuals really feel that way, come and talk to one of us. Let's work it out. We have the same goal. We want our students to go to school in a safe environment. We want them to know that they are worth more than what they can offer sexually. I'm gonna have to hurry up here. Let's make this close. This is causing a divide. I think we should have a book rating system. I was told there isn't one. Let's create one. There's numerous resources that can be used. Many schools and organizations have been working on this. I propose a committee be established with parents and district employees in a fair ratio of how the community votes to get a rating system for these books offered to our students. If there is a goal to have all voices heard, then we need to balance our committee and see that the community is well respected. I have one paragraph left. We also propose that parents are informed about what is going on and what is available. We need to know something before we can monitor it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Julie. Maria?
Hello, my name is Maria. I'm a resident of Maple Grove, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak a few words to the board. And as a taxpayer and parent, I have vested interest in the quality of our schools, including the curriculum, teaching materials, and other things that the students are exposed to. I have been paying attention to the school board meetings and was shocked by the inappropriate content of the books that are within reach of the students. Such obscene literature has no place in public library. I am not a lawyer, so I don't know which particular laws are being violated, but I am pretty sure that this is illegal. It's just common sense. Pornographic materials are to be kept in a secure location away from minors. I ask you in the most sincere and charitable way to remove these books with obscene, vulgar, and crude language from the public library. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our first action item this evening is recommendation for approval on the agreement on the terms and conditions of employment between the Independent School District 279 School Board and Osseo Principals Association, July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2025. Information will be shared by General Counsel Amy Moore. Amy.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair, members, and Superintendent. Tonight, I will be presenting on behalf of Human Resources the recommendation for the approval of the principal's contract. The contract expired June 30, 2023, and the new agreement contains language changes that reflect current district practices as well as additional provisions that serve to support our district mission and strategic priorities. Some specific changes include, in the compensation and conditions section of the collective bargaining agreement, language was modified to include a 5% increase to the base salary in year 1 and a 3% increase to the base salary in year 2. The ranges were also increased by 9.3% to the minimum and the maximum salary ranges. In addition, salary advancement has been changed to pay for performance and will be paid out as a stipend instead of being added on to the base salary. Conference release days were removed from the contract, and the principals will be compensated for working those days. In the group insurance section of the collective bargaining agreement, employees will receive district contributions to health insurance by the following. For the high plan, there will be 0% increase to district contributions each year, and no new enrollment in the plan will be allowed. For the value plan, there will be a 10% increase to district contributions in year 2, with no increase in year 1. For the HSA plan, a 12% increase to district contributions in year 2, with no increase in year 1. In the district annual match section, the district agreed to increase the maximum contribution match to $3,000. School board members have had the opportunity to review the proposed changes to the provisions contained in the terms and conditions, to ask questions and to consider financial implications. The new contract provisions fall within the financial parameters set by the board for the 23-25 contract term. It is the superintendent's and the human resources recommendation that you approve the principal's contract presented to you this evening.
Thank you, Councilor Moore. Is there a motion to approve the terms and conditions of employment between the Independent School District 279 School Board and the Osseo Principals Association, July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2025?
So moved.
Motion by Director Grady. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Director Douglas. Is there a discussion? I think I can speak on behalf of the board. Thank you to the Principals Association and negotiations for coming to an agreement, and we're very happy to be here. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. Our next action item is Policy 652, Instructional Materials Section, Production and Reevaluation Appeal. Under Policy and Procedure 652, when there is an appeal to the board related to a challenge of a book in one of our district media centers, the board considers the merits of the appeal. This means the board will consider whether the district level committee's decision to maintain the book was reasonable and appropriate. As part of our work to do this, board members received a copy of the book to read and review, and information from the district level committee, which has been summarized and posted with tonight's agenda. Now I will turn it over again to General Counsel Moore. Amy.
Thank you. So tonight, as stated, you'll be voting on the merits of the appeal of the district level decision to retain the book, What Girls Are Made Of at the OALC School. Fortunately, our policy was already in line with much of the changes that have been made in the legislature. So we're well positioned to continue utilizing that policy for this appeal review. You have been provided a summary of the district level decision, but I wanted to take the time to provide a more comprehensive summary of the challenger Britt Stussey's time in front of that committee, so you have a better understanding of kind of the basis of her challenge, and I've talked with her, and so I want to be able to read that for you today, so that will be a part of the record. And then after I'm done, Dr. Britt Stussey will come and speak for you for 5 minutes, not take any questions, and that is the time when you will ask if there is a motion to reverse the decision. So the challenger was given 10 minutes to speak to share her perspective on why she believes the book should be removed. The challenger introduced herself to the committee. She is a district resident. She stated that she could relate to the OALC students as part of her high school experience was non-traditional due to having an eating disorder. She is a sexual assault survivor, and through her personal experiences with trauma, can attest to her view of the harmful nature of the themes presented in the book. The challenger stated by sharing her concerns with the explicit and graphic nature of the book. The challenger noted that the building level committee acknowledged the book was graphic but felt it served a purpose. The challenger stated the book served no educational value as the predominant themes of the book were about teenage sex and abortion. The challenger addressed what she perceived as the grooming nature of the book. The challenger provided an operational definition of grooming and asserted the book is pushing an ideology on teenage girls. The challenger brought up that members of the building level committee were aware of her perception of the grooming nature of the book, and some committee members stated that they hoped the book was driving questions and conversations. The challenger shared her concerns with the book curation process. The challenger stated at the building level challenge, the OALC LMS shared that she did not have time to read all the books as they came into the library and utilized book reviews to aid purchasing decisions. The challenger provided documentation that showed Kirkus reviews are paid for by publishers and recommended that they should not be the sole guide for book purchasing decisions. The challenger stated when the OALC LMS was asked this by a billing level committee member if the book was available at other libraries. The OALC LMS stated she checked and it was not available anywhere else in the district. The challenger stated the book is available at Park Center Library and questioned if due diligence was not done for this challenge. How can she be sure that the process is being followed for book purchasing? So I wanted to share that with you as kind of a fuller view of what occurred at the district level committee for the challenger's time in front of that committee. At this time, we'll have Dr. Britt Stussy come and speak for 5 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Britt Stussy. I'm a community member in the Osseo District. As a community member, I have a vested interest in the education of district students. My tax dollars fund their education. My family and I interact with students in the community. My voice matters as to the quality of education that district students are receiving. The rationale behind this book challenge is not about limiting access to information. It is about calling into question the appropriateness of sexually explicit and obscene materials in publicly funded school libraries. I want students to have access to high-quality library materials, but materials in publicly funded school libraries should match community expectations. Many parents in this district have openly expressed that they do not want their children exposed to sexually explicit content in the classroom. This same standard should be applied to materials available in the school library. The 1982 Pico SCOTUS decision and the recently passed Minnesota book banning ban both assert that while books cannot be removed from school libraries due to viewpoint or partisanship, there is permissibility for removing books that are pervasively vulgar or if there are legitimate pedagogical concerns. The book in question, What Girls Are Made Of, is sexually explicit, obscene, and pornographic. It openly promotes and normalizes sexual behavior to impressionable teenage girls. 48 of the 183 pages contain content that is either sexually explicit, reference sexual activity, abortion, or describe the process of having an abortion. Female students as young as 14 have access to this book. The following are examples of the explicit content. Page 20, quote, "My legs fell open to make room for his mouth. He licked and licked like a cat at a bowl of cream, and when the inside of me felt as wet as the outside, we tried again," end quote. Page 34, "Then he's there, naked, the thick horn of him wet-tipped and hard, and a rush of wetness floods the cotton lining of my thong," end quote. Page 58, quote, "She was talking about sex, right? Sex with Jesus. That's what she wanted, to get Jesus' head, and I totally understand it," end quote. Page 67 through 68, quote, "It is remembering Seth's tongue that pushes me into the first orgasm. The sweet way he'd press it just there, right where I'm holding the rubber tip of the vibrator," end quote. Page 180, quote, "The abortion is the best thing I've ever done for myself, and I'll never tell my mother. I never tell her anything," end quote. Again, this book is, students as young as 14 have access to this book. Imagine if a student was watching any of the sexual acts described above on district technology. Would it be acceptable under Policy 441? It is reasonable to be consistent with the application of policies. This book does not meet accessibility criteria set forth by Policy 441. This book pervasively contains sexually explicit, obscene, and pornographic content, and it should be removed from the OALC and Park Center libraries. Presently, there is no separation of materials by grade levels in the high school libraries. It is the duty of the district to meet age-appropriate standards for the youngest students. If the school board decides not to remove this book, it should be age-restricted to students 17 and older. A warning label should be placed on the book denoting the sexually explicit and graphic content. Most importantly, there needs to be more parental transparency. Parents should be notified when a sexually explicit book is checked out by their child. Additionally, parents should be made aware of what is available in the libraries. For example, there is a sex fiction subject tag in all of the district's Destiny Discover library catalogs. Please refer to Table 4 in the packet in front of you. This subject tag is a collection of books which contain subject matter that includes but not limited to sexual activity, sexual references, sexuality, or sex roles. Are all of the books under this tag explicit? No, but there should be a rating system implemented in the district to help parents identify the appropriateness of book content. Lastly, there needs to be written policy that guides book curation decisions in the libraries. Book review sources such as Kirkus are paid for by publishers and should not be the primary source for guiding book curation. There have been recommendations from board members reviewing Policy 652 to silence voices of community members like myself who don't have children enrolled in the district. Parents and community members should have a voice in
30
acceptability
seconds remaining.
standards in our schools. The district recently asked the community to build a better future for the students. Community voices should be welcomed in this school just as they are welcomed in the building of school infrastructures. Let's come together as parents, community members, teachers, and staff to improve the quality of education in this district. This is not about politics. This is about the well-being of our students. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Dr. Susie. Do we have any other thing to talk before we take the motions?
I don't have anything else, but to remind the board members that there is a difference between a classroom and the library in a school district, is that it's the difference between a non-public forum and a limited public forum. So that is also a part of your consideration, is what we have in the classroom has a different standard than what we have for what can be challenged and how it can be challenged.
Thank you. So at this time, I'm going to ask if there is a motion to reverse the decision of the district level committee.
So I think that this is an important topic to have board discussion on. So for the purpose of discussion and transparency on conversation about this, I'd like to make a motion to reverse the decision of the district level committee.
Thank you. So there's a motion by Director Prince to reverse the decision for a basis of discussion. Is there a second?
Second.
The second by Director Mitchell. All right, at this time, we may discuss.
So, yes, so we all read the book, and last time I read it physically, this time I listened to it on audio. And as I kind of read that first section of the book, it was definitely explicit content, a lot of adult themes, and it was very heavy. And I thought, wow, this is really heavy content. And at that point, I paused and looked at the time, and it was at 59 minutes, and that portion was not quite done. So, of roughly 5 hours of listening. So I thought, wow, this is 20% in, and it's really significant, heavy content. And so I have spent a lot of time researching, asking questions, talking to Amy, talking to Andy on kind of library process. And so to me, it was really important to do my due diligence on this particular book. And Amy, a question I have is for clarification is, the decision tonight is only specific to the OALC, correct?
Correct, only as to the OALC.
Yep, site specific.
Right.
Okay. And so I really wanted to understand that selection process and learning that we do have a wide amount of discretion for each media specialist at each school. And so, as noted, this book is at Park Center and at the OALC, but it's not at the other two high schools. So certainly, I think it's been in print 5 years. And so there certainly has been some choice on the selection of this, which I don't know the reasons why it's at some and not others on this particular book, but we do have differing opinions and selection and decision-making. And I think that's okay because our schools are different. So, but this particular decision is only pertinent to one high school. So as I looked at, kind of was listening and reading, the rest of the book doesn't really have more. It forms the basis because the primary subject is the sexual relationship of this teenage girl and how she deals with that throughout the rest of the book. So in looking at the reviews and as indicated in the committee report, one of the things that I noticed in the review by the school library journal, let me bring this up. Apologize for taking a moment here. I want to make sure I get it right. So the school library journal indicated, because of its complex symbolism and graphic imagery, this well-written novel is best suited to mature young adult readers. So we don't currently have a mechanism in place to ensure that only mature young adult readers would read any particular content in our library. Learning that there is a label of sex fiction is new information to me, so I'd like to kind of learn more about that, but that one is confusing. I'd like to know what all is in there, but I don't have that information for tonight. So one last thing that I then requested was information specifically for the OALC. And so I was able to get information that at the OALC, out of the 306 students, 203 are in grade 12 and have an average age of over 18. So, and with that being said, another 65 are in grade 11 with an average age of nearly 17. So at this particular school, one might argue that in that age range of 14 to 18, 19, and there are different ranges for what different organizations identify as young adult. This one does have more students that would likely qualify as a more mature audience. And knowing that there's many students that even are quite independent in that particular school and already making a number of adult choices. So for me, that just led to this maybe being a little bit, me having a perspective on this particular book at this particular school being a little different than what my opinion or perspective in terms of sexually explicit content in a general population where there's more students across the different grade levels. That was a differentiation for me in the consideration of this appeal. It is quite sexually explicit. I don't. That's pretty well noted in all of the reviews. So it does become a question as to how do we deal with sexually explicit material in our school system, and we are doing really good policy work. We're not there yet because we are still under the existing policy to give more transparency to parents and provide more efficient processes, and we're putting a lot of thought into it. So I think that through the policy work, we will also be able to meet community expectations that are quite diverse and range across our community. So I think that process is going to help us a lot, and be able to come to consensus on that policy will be beneficial for everybody going forward. So those are my comments before we vote. And
yeah, and I have a few comments. And just to clarify, Amy, at the OALC, a student can be as young as 15, correct, at any given year?
Yes, I could be.
Okay, thank you. Well, after reading and reviewing this book, I have 3 questions that are also concerns to address. So just to summarize, there was a lot in the pages, but number 1, does this book enhance or enrich our district's curriculum? I do not believe that it does. Number 2, is sexually explicit content appropriate for minors? I believe that the majority of stakeholders and parents would say, no, it is not. Number 3, this might be the most important. Summary, does this book devalue a young teenage girl's self-worth? And is that an image, is that a message we want our district portraying? My concern is that this book does not value a teenage girl's self-worth or image, which is the opposite of the mission statement on the wall behind me. Thank you.
Any other comments, discussion?
Yep. First, I wanted to acknowledge everyone who participated in the review process. It is cumbersome for anybody who has to participate in this process, whether it is part of your job requirements or something you've elected to do to support the school district. So I want to thank everybody for their participation in this. And I also want to acknowledge that it is, as a board, we aim to serve our district at a high level, and it is not our goal to be involved in the process of selecting books for school libraries. At the outset, we trust our school librarians to do that work. And it's also important to note that as a district, we have made missteps in choosing curriculum, and it is important to have checks and balances when we're evaluating the needs of our students. So I just wanted to put that out there and acknowledge that this is a hard process for everybody involved. I did read the book in its entirety, and as other board members have mentioned, this book is very sexually explicit. The reading of specific quotations really was, for me, a very small portion of how graphic this book was to read. And when reviewing it and looking at the merits, when we're evaluating materials, the book does not meet the standard that the district has set for what we aim to provide our children with, the students of our district with. It is not a high quality piece of literature. It is more akin to erotic literature. It is described as sex fiction in our school libraries. And the passages are meant to describe in detail, very vivid detail, sexual activity between minors. And that is a really strong concern that I have as a board member for any student in our district. And when I consider that this book challenges specifically for the OALC, I apologize. That is a student population of already vulnerable students. And many of these students have faced challenges that I would like to see a different type of content provided for these students when discussing these topics. I think these topics are very important to the students in our district, and it doesn't meet the standard that we've set for high quality material.
Okay. Well, historically, we know that book bans work to erase marginalized communities. And we've seen that over the past year with book challenges that have targeted LGBTQ students. What this book challenge shows is that book bans also seek to remove the freedom for students to learn about themselves and others. Let me be clear, parents still have the right to restrict any book, but they do not have the right to restrict books for other people's children.
Director Brooks, do you have anything?
No.
Okay.
And I would reiterate that this is a review of the criteria of the book. It's not about, this is not a book ban motion or conversation. Again, it's already identified as, it's not in 2 of the schools, and those schools didn't ban it. It simply wasn't selected, and for whatever reason. So I just reiterate that I don't view this conversation about book banning in any manner. We're discussing the merits of the criteria established and a range of perspectives on meeting that criteria, which reflect our community as well, a range of perspectives.
So I did read the book in its entirety, from the beginning to the end, and I guess I came out of it with a whole different theme than many of my colleagues did. I came out with a theme that in society, girls are often told that they have to accept conditional love. And this book addresses that and her struggle with that and her decision to not be in relationships where there's that conditional love at the end. Are there sex scenes? Yes, absolutely, there's sex in there. I think I'm, as an educator, as someone who was a certified family life educator in human sexuality for a long time, as someone with almost a doctorate in human services, as a parent to children who have had trauma and including severe sexual trauma, I think that this book could be very beneficial for certain students. Do I think every child should read it? No, it's up to, it's up to the people that care about that child or student or adult in the OALC situation to determine that. And this this decision is just for this book at the OALC, and discussions about rating systems or how to do more parent education is certainly welcome for me in the future, but that's not what we're voting on here tonight. So those are my comments. With that, I would like to, any other discussion or anything?
I'll be quick.
Okay.
So I don't have much to add really because Director Prince said my line of thinking, particularly on this book at the OALC. And while I'm not generally interested in limiting book content for our oldest scholars, there was a lot that was said in that presentation today that I know that we've certainly touched on in policy committee and that I've been interested in and committed to as well. So I hope that as a board and as a policy committee, we can explore some of the recommendations that came out of that presentation today a little more deeper. I do think that there's a way that we can be more transparent, that we can show up for our scholars in the selection of their book content, and that we can be more informed, even as board members and as parents, of what our scholars are having access to every single day. So I just wanted to put that out there, that I hope that conversation continues, that while this happens to be a book being challenged, that for some of our most mature scholars, there's a bigger discussion that needs to happen for all of our scholars in the district.
Thank you. I just want to add, I really appreciate the discourse and different perspectives that are shared respectfully. I think that's important to further that dialogue, and thank you, Thomas, for sharing that. I really do think policy committee is going to be a great place to further this conversation.
Absolutely. Okay, so at this point, we will conduct a roll vote, and remember, we are voting on reversing the decision of the district level committee. So in voting aye, you are voting to reverse the decision, and in voting nay, you are voting to keep the decision of the district level committee.
Director Brooks?
Nay.
Director Douglas?
Aye.
Director Prince,
Nay.
Director Mosqueda Jones,
Nay.
Director Mitchell,
Aye.
Director Grady.
Nay.
It's 4 nays and 2 ayes.
The district level decision stands. Okay, the next action item is the budget for fiscal year 2025. Information will be shared by Kelly Benusa, amazing Director of Business Services. Kelly. While you're getting ready, I got to meet with the auditor today and sang your praises.
Thank you.
So don't let me down. No, I'm just kidding.
I'll try my best. All right. Good evening, Chair Mosquito Jones, board members, and Superintendent Dr. Heil. Tonight we bring forward for your consideration the fiscal year 2025 proposed budget. This budget by process design is directly linked to our strategic plan and provides resources necessary to support our strategic priority work. The Long-Range Financial Planning, or LRFP, process is transparent and collaborative in its approach and incorporates several stops along the way to receive feedback and direction from the school board. The budget before you includes the school board's input. We thank you for your attention to this work so that we can bring forward a budget for which you are well prepared. Budget decisions are made using the Long-Range Financial Planning Framework, which includes a financial forecasting model that provides the basis of our budget planning for financial sustainability. Budget planning includes aligning our resources with the mission and strategic plan, an assessment of the impact on productivity and essential services, its impact on our work to ensure equitable student achievement, and compliance with legal requirements. The school board engaged in several work sessions throughout the budget development process, and at the February 6th work session, the board carefully considered the budget recommendation. The LRFP Advisory's team assessment of impact was provided to the board prior to action by the board at the February 20th school board meeting. Here's a summary of the LRFP framework. The framework provides coherence between our system's strategic plan and the allocation of resources through the collaboration of budget managers, and it describes the direction provided by the school board. The LRFP process has been used in planning for the general transportation operating funds and all our other budgeted funds for the past decade. Budget planning approval and implementation is a continuous process, and we follow a similar timeline each year. The board met to set the budget targets at the November work session, which provided direction for staff in preparing the program efficiency, abandonment, and redirection, or PAIR narratives that describe needed adjustments to meet budget targets and complete the work on strategic investments. The levy was approved in December, and the PAIR summaries were approved by the school board in February. We then prepared the final budget, which reflects board-approved adjustments. Tonight, the budget presented is the same as the budget discussed at the June 11th work session. The budget is the culmination of this process and will continue this process for the next year's budget cycle. Now we'll provide information regarding the fiscal year 2025 budgets. The budgets that will be adopted are for all 5 funds presented on this slide. In this presentation, we'll provide detailed information about the general fund because it makes up the most of our overall budget. Details of these budgets was discussed at the June 11th work session and are included in the online school board meeting materials. The fiscal year 2025 general fund revenues are budgeted to increase 2.9% or $8.9 million compared to the fiscal year 2024 revised budget. Areas of change were as follows. An increase in general education aid of $6 million due to a 2% increase in the basic formula allowance and a projected increase in adjusted students served of 347. An increase in operating referendum of $1.5 million for growth in projected students, as well as an increase in market valuations of property. An increase in special education revenue of almost $1.2 million, and a decrease in interest revenue of $775,000. There's an increase in summer unemployment revenue of $761,000, which is offset by increased expenditures. There's an increase in local optional revenue of $584,000 due to growth in projected students, and a decrease in desegregation transportation revenue of $400,000. There's also a decrease in equity revenue of $263,000 and other smaller increases for student personnel aid and TRA pension adjustments. The fiscal year 2025 general fund expenditures are increasing 8.6% compared to the fiscal year 2024 revised budget. This is higher than the district trend of 3.5% and the board tactic of 3%. The budget tonight is nearly $2.6 million more than previously projected and includes several large adjustments. It includes the board-approved February 20th budget adjustments, net increase of $1 million, which includes a net zero long-range financial planning budget adjustments, $1.2 million for enrollment alignment, a net increase of $800,000 for strategic investments for 1 year only, and $157,000 for implementation of the Family Medical Leave Act. Also in February, the board approved the fiscal year 2024 mid-year budget adjustment, which included one-time savings of $1.7 million. And as planned, net grant adjustments of $9 million for ESSER or COVID-type grants with expiring funding for next year are included in the adopted budget. The net effect of the revenue and expenditure budget variance on the proposed general fund budget results in an anticipated operating deficit of $1.7 million. The fiscal year 2025 ending fund balance is projected to be 32% of annual expenditures, or $100.7 million. This proposed fund balance is $2 million less than was anticipated in February. Board policy recommends a minimum fund balance of 5%, and we are in compliance with this policy for the proposed budget. Next, we'll review the 5-year financial projection for the general fund. This is a high-level visual organizer for the financial forecast that was shared at the June 11th work session. There are 3 sections to the projection. The top section shows revenues, expenditures, differences, fund balance, and fund balance percentage for a 7-year window. That begins with our most recent audited financials for fiscal year 2023, the current year revised budget, the proposed budget for fiscal year 2025, and then projections for 2026 through fiscal year 2029. For the next 4 years, assumptions for revenue growth on the general formula and expenditure assumptions used in planning for fiscal year 2025 remain unchanged. The next section shows the budget projection for revenues in blue and expenditures in red. The trend lines of those same colors show the general trajectory of each of those items. As you can see, even with the general formula allowance tied to inflation, expenditures are still expected to outpace revenues beginning in fiscal year 2025. The final section looks at the fund balance projection for that same time period. The green bars represent our actual and projected fund balance for each year. The orange bar shows the minimum required fund balance of 5% as set in board policy. Again, the trend lines show the trajectory of the fund balances related to the minimum. As you can see, we're projecting for fiscal year 2029 fund balance to exceed the board required minimum fund balance of 5%. We are not planning for any operational reductions through fiscal 2029 at this time. Key factors included in the projection model are, starting in fiscal year 2024, OSSEO is at the current operating referendum cap with inflation, which was voter approved. This means that we cannot use the operating referendum as a lever to increase revenue to help us balance future budget deficits. And starting with the budget adoption for fiscal year 2025, expenditures are outpacing our revenues. This slide is a summary of all 5 fund budgets to be adopted for fiscal year 25. The Food and Nutrition Services Fund is the red column. Revenues are less due to the elimination of the Supply Chain Assistance Program and declining interest rates, which are partially offset by increased growth in the Summer Food Service Program. Overall fund balance is projected to decrease by about $843,000. The Community Service Fund is the green column. Fund balance is projected to decrease $2.2 million. The revenue increase of $634,000 is due to anticipated growth in several programs, such as school-age care, school readiness, and adult and youth enrichment programs, as well as our facility rentals. The expenditure increase of $1.9 million is due to a combination of anticipated growth in those same programs, increased facility rentals, expiring ESSER grants, shifting $200,000 of expenditures to this fund, and long-range financial planning adjustments of $660,000. The capital fund is the purple column. Capital fund revenue is projected to increase $3.7 million. An increase of the voter-approved capital technology levy, which is tied to our market value changes, is comprising most of that increase. Expenditures increased by $1.3 million, or 6.4, mainly due to technology and safety needs. This change results in a planned reduction in the capital land proceeds fund balance of $564,000. And finally, the debt service fund is the orange column, and the increase in revenue for the debt service fund reflects the required levies for ongoing debt service payments. And then the 111% increase in expenditures reflects the required annual principal and interest payments for outstanding debt. And the debt service fund balance is projected to be almost $4.8 million at the end of June 30th, 2025. So this last slide is the action item tonight, is the recommended adoption of the fiscal year 2025 budgets for all funds. The adoption means that the budget was prepared in accordance with the board direction.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Questions? Comments? I just want to say thank you again for your amazing work on all this and the graphs that help. I do want to point out a couple of things just for people who are watching. It might be confusing to say that our funding is now being determined on cost of inflation, but the funding from the state it's not our entire budget. So even though we're getting that, it's only for part of the budget. So it doesn't cover the entire budget. And then I just want to shout out to community service for making sure they have a decent fund balance, but not too much, so that they can provide as much programming as possible, and the hiring of so many new staff that there is no waiting list now, or there's a small one. For the summer, there's no waiting list, so that's much better than last year. So shout out to Brian there. All right. All in favor of, is there a motion to adopt the fiscal year 2025 budgets for the general fund, the food and nutrition services fund, the community service fund, the capital fund, and the debt service fund?
So moved.
Okay, motion by Director Prince. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Director Brooks. Any discussion besides what I just said? All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion passes 6-0. Our next action item is the 10-year long-term facilities maintenance plan. Information will be shared by Dale Carlstrom, Director of Facilities and Operations. Dale, it's good to see you again.
Hi. Good to be here.
You always get the fun stuff, Dale.
All right, I get my bifocals to work. We're good. There we go. All right. Well, good evening, Chair Mosquito Jones, and thanks for your kind words. Superintendent Heil, directors. I'm Dale Carlstrom. I'm the Director of Facility Operations, and I thank you for the opportunity to share with you, the community, our efforts to protect and restore the ISD 279 Osseo Area Schools facilities and site assets. This evening, we will provide a summary of the long-term facility maintenance reporting process and update the board on the three-part LTFM process of planning, construction, and closeout. I'll discuss the closeout of the 2023-24, the construction of the startup of 24-25 projects, and the planning for the 25-26 work. In addition, I'll share the coordination efforts underway that bring the Build a Better Future and LTFM initiatives together. The Minnesota Department of Education requires that we communicate a 10-year LTFM plan through the annual update that we will be discussing this evening. We are required to report detailed expenditure and revenue projections in spreadsheet form, as well as a statement of assurances that the planned expenditures meet the deferred maintenance criteria for the LTFM levy. The Finance and Facility Operations team work closely with our professional consultants to establish a comprehensive assessment of the facilities and the site assets to inform our facilities strategy for the 10-year plan. Before we get started with the details of the plan, I'd like to recognize our facilities staff, our professional consultants, construction teams, and site staff for their commitment to revitalizing and restoring our facility assets to bring serve our students in our community. Our work is making a difference, and I'm proud of the progress we've made through the long-term facility maintenance program. The board packet includes the revenue projection spreadsheet that details the levy formula used to calculate the pay-as-you-go LTFM projections for the 10-year plan. The graph on this slide illustrates how our financial consultants and our fiscal team coordinate the system-wide bond and levy resources to maintain a level tax impact over the 10-year plan. During this fiscal year, we issued the $140 million LTFM bond to support the Build a Better Future voter-approved referendum bond. Our projections for the LTFM pay-as-you-go levy for fiscal year 25 is $23.4 million and $8.5 million for FY 26. Also included in your packet is the LTFM 10-year expenditure plan that details the LTFM work by expenditure categories and further breaks out our health and safety work, restroom renovations, and deferred maintenance projects by finance type. Our proposed 10-year plan increases funding in 2025 through 2027 in a coordinated effort to combine deferred maintenance needs with the Build a Better Future Facilities Improvement Initiative. These LTFM initiatives will ensure that our infrastructure and existing conditions keep pace with our proposed renovations. We are planning significant increases in the LTFM's mechanical and finishes restorations at Maple Grove Senior High, Osseo Senior High, and Crestview. Our Build a Better Future plan to renovate all elementary media centers will include additional ceilings, lighting, and finishes restoration. We've begun the planning process for the first phase of the elementary schools with similar design, and will begin construction during the summer of 2025. We intend to continue our focus on district-wide categorical restorations such as heating, air conditioning, ventilation, paving, roofing, flooring, painting, and building envelope repairs. Our LTFM steering committee will continue assessing the condition of our facilities, assets, and establishing priorities to inform this plan. We will continue our ongoing efforts to conserve energy with new lighting systems and efficient mechanical equipment. Our total LTFM budget for fiscal 2024 is $23 million, with approximately $15 million budgeted for major projects, $1.8 million for health safety projects, and $6.4 million in categorical projects. We have successfully completed phase 1 of the Cedar Island project and have phase 2 underway. The remaining projects, Park Center Senior High, Palmer Lake, Osseo Senior High, Elm Creek, Rice Lake, and Basswood, have been completed and closed out. A preliminary assessment shows that these projects will be coming in on budget. At our November work session, the facilities operations team will do a detailed review of these results for the FY24 projects. FY25 marks the beginning of the accelerated $60 million LTFM plan that includes extensive projects at Brooklyn Middle School, Northview Middle School, as well as project planning for the major projects at the 3 high schools. There will be also $12.8 million categorical projects. The Brooklyn Middle School Phase 1 work is underway on the 2nd and the 3rd floor, including the Media Center. Cedar Island Phase 2 is also underway with restroom group restorations and renovations, classroom improvements, and mechanical restorations. At Northview Middle School, we are underway with a total gut and restoration of the 2nd floor, which includes all classrooms and the Media Center. In addition, we are doing renovations in the Northview Middle School art classrooms, counseling department, and kitchen mechanical. We've extended mechanical work underway at Fernbrook, Edenbrook, and Rush Creek that will replace the air handlers and the hydronic pipe systems throughout the building. In the classrooms and the corridors, we will replace the heating and the air conditioning equipment, ceilings, and light fixtures. We are in the planning phase for the LTFM portion of the Build a Better Future projects at Maple Grove Senior High, Osseo Senior High, and the elementaries Fernbrook, Edenbrook, Basswood, Oakview, Woodland, and Rush Creek, focusing on the Media Center, outdoor classrooms, flex rooms, and makerspace. We currently have 64 projects underway in fiscal year 25, including categorical initiatives and health safety projects, and we anticipate that we will be showing you the results of this work at our November work session. To help illustrate the project development process for Build a Better Future and LTFM initiatives, we are showing in this slide a portion of the project timeline that illustrates the planning and the construction for Phase 1 in the fiscal 25-26. The project schedule process, excuse me, the project scheduling process is used to help visualize the occupancy deadlines and the planning sequence necessary to maintain school operations and coordinate the management of user groups, design teams, bidding process, and construction planning. There are working documents that we regularly review with the design team to fine-tune the schedule to ensure that we have capacity to meet our deadlines. This slide shows the planning and the construction timeline for the first phase of the elementary Build a Better Future initiative to create next generation learning spaces in our media spaces, makerspace, flex rooms, and security upgrades, and flexible furniture installations. There is a LTFM component to these important improvements as they touch each space that requires mechanical and finishes restoration. Thank you. I got a water. Thanks, this is a lot of talking. As you probably agree. We will be moving on to Phase 2 of the Brooklyn Middle School project that addresses the renovation and restoration of the first floor. We will begin the planning phase this summer for the Crestview improvements and restorations with the target bid date of May of 2025. During the summer of 25, we will begin the construction phase for the first 4 elementaries, including the media center, makerspace, flex rooms, and outdoor classrooms. To review the next steps, tonight the board will vote on the 10-year plan recommendation. In September, we will present the preliminary LTFM levy. The levy certification will occur in December, and the recommendation for bid awards will be included in the board consent agenda between January and May of 2025. Now I'll take any questions that you might have or clarifications.
I have, well, kind of a question, less for me and more for people I've been receiving questions from. So we receive a lot of like higher level information, and you give us details of the bigger major projects. But I've been getting lots of questions about, especially people are seeing all the construction stuff outside of buildings, and playgrounds coming down or pieces being changed. So is there a place where some of those smaller projects are what the changes are viewable to the public, like on the website? Like if they were to click on a building to know what projects are happening in that building.
Heather,
Yes.
Kay can address.
Oh, great.
Larger projects we for sure do, and I know even like some school level communications have been going out specific to what's happening at individual schools. In regards to like building a better future project specifically, like we'll continually update too on the website. So there'll be some continual updates as things, obviously over these next 4 years, as things continually change. And we usually do for long-term facilities maintenance, larger projects as well, especially at the school level.
So the communication is happening at the school level for the community that attends the school.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So the questions I'm getting are from community members who are observing what's happening in their neighborhoods, and they want to know, well, what's going on? And they're asking, where can I find out what's going on? What changes are happening to this building? And aside from saying, you know, this is part of the process, this is what we've been doing, and changes are happening at every district, I'm getting a lot of requests for more detailed, I want to know what's changing in this building in my neighborhood. And so I'm wondering if there's a place like on the website where people could look up their neighborhood school and know what's happening.
There's not like a full list. I mean, right now, besides what we talk about within board documents, right, they would have to dig through board documents to see something if they weren't directly connected to the community. So I would say for long-term facilities maintenance projects, that would be the case. For building a better future, that's something that we're consistently sharing out in our messaging that goes out to all residents, like our Have You Heard newsletter.
Yeah.
So, but we can be more, we can do more of that if we're feeling the need to do additional information, right? So.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I understand the request, and part of what I mentioned in the report is, right now, we've got 64 named projects, and a lot of them are in and out. You know, we're repaving a parking lot, or we're revitalizing a playground, and we're in and out. But it would be great if we could, I don't know, maybe create some conduit through the school website or something that would say, okay, here's what's going on. Give that some thought, please.
Yeah, thank you.
Weird question, for those schools that have like electronic boards, couldn't they just put a little something up there? Like
There's
playground's getting replaced
yeah.
right now or something.
There's
Well, and I
only
think
one that has.
They do for those big
Yeah.
deals like that. That's a big deal.
There's only one.
None of the
Parks-
elementaries have them, do they?
None of the yeah, we only have it at Park Center currently right now, but the good news is we are looking at that possibility of expanding that, but we haven't gotten to that point. It's in the research phase right now.
Because that's where at my school, that's what we do.
We can
Any
have it
other?
on the website.
I don't want to
Yes.
make work for
Yeah, we'll-
more
we'll
work
have
for
it on the
anyone.
website. We'll have it on the website.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Since we're making comments and questions, I just want to say thank you again for your hard work and making sure that all of these are aligned with our strategic plan, and that we're providing equity for safe and welcoming schools. Just having been in a school that didn't have the upgrades for a very long time, it makes a difference for our students to see the updated buildings and to have quality facilities. So thank you for all your work on that.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to adopt the, where are we? Is there a motion to approve the long-term facilities maintenance 10-year plan as presented?
So moved.
We'll go with Director Douglas for a motion and a second by Director Mitchell, since you're both on there. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Dale.
Thank you.
The final action item is the gifts to the district. Is there a motion to approve the gifts of the district totaling $164,065.80?
So moved.
Moved by Director Prince. Is there a second?
Second?
Second by Director Douglas. Any discussion? Once again, thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion passes 5-0. Our next agenda item is the consent agenda. The consent agenda includes standard business items requiring approval such as meeting minutes, financial reports, personnel items, and extended educational trips. Board members, are there any items you would like to remove for separate consideration? Hearing none.
Wait, sorry, I have a discussion for one of the items. Should we have it part of the question after the motion, or?
Did you want to remove it, or?
I don't want to remove it, I just want to make a comment.
So let me ask for the motion, and then you can make the comment. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as printed?
So moved.
So moved by Director Brooks. Is there a second? I will second it. And discussion. Go for it, Director Douglas.
I just wanted to make a comment about the athletic uniform contract. We've had a couple of questions about that. And I was just wondering if we could just like have a little acknowledgement of what that contract change is. That we're moving to a specific provider, and it doesn't mean that individual schools can't, I'm sorry, not individual schools, sports cannot, they can elect to use other providers for their other
Like Spirit
things.
Year and things like that.
Yeah, like their
But
special stuff.
But the uniforms
But the actual
are
uniform,
with this
and those are
exclusive contract.
separate contracts.
Right.
Yes, okay.
Anything else you want to say about that particular?
No, I just wanted to clarify because there's been so much concern about it, and I don't think I was very clear, so maybe somebody could say it better.
I'll just like summarize it if that's okay.
Yeah, thank you.
So uniforms and materials for the actual sports themselves, we're doing a contract with one particular group for consistency. If there are boosters or anyone else that wants to purchase T-shirts or anything like that, they can use other vendors. Did I describe that accurately? Yeah. So that's
Thank
what you were talking about.
Yep.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion passes 5-0. Page. Our next agenda item is the superintendent's report, Dr. Howell.
All right, thank you. Good evening, Chair Mosquito Jones and school board members. So just to make everyone aware, there are many behind-the-scenes staff who make our district successful. And one of these areas is our community relations department. So they work quietly behind the scenes to ensure our district's communication is completed in a timely, effective, and an efficient manner. So the work of Community Relations Department is in perfect alignment with one of our district strategic direction, which states promote inclusive participation of all of our communities and provide timely, relevant, and easily accessible communication. So with all this taken into consideration is with the point of pride that I would like to announce the following. The National School Public Relations Association just announced winners of the 2024 awards program. Together, our Osseo Area Schools Community Relations team earned 8 recognitions this year. These incredible public relations teams were awarded for the following publications. Award of Excellence for 279 Insider e-newsletter. Award of Excellence for 279 Connect e-newsletter. Award of Excellence for Community Education Staff e-newsletter. Award of Merit for Grad Spotlight on Keely Sorensen. Award of Merit for It's Fun to Go Out and Vote video. Honorable mention for Graduate Spotlight on for Forensic Science Supervisor Stephen Swenson. Honorable mention for Holding Space with Dr. Heil video. And a Golden Achievement Award for Building a Better Future Phase 2 informational campaign. So I just want to take time to say congratulations to our incredible Community Relations Department. All right, so a regular part of our superintendent's report is to share our points of pride. By sharing our points of pride, we're taking time to slow down and recognize and celebrate our scholars, our staff, and our community members who are contributing to the accomplishments of our mission, which is to inspire and prepare each and every scholar with the confidence, courage, and competence to achieve their dreams, contribute to the community, and engage in a lifetime of learning. So this evening, I have members of our district cabinet here to assist in sharing some examples from the last month.
In the area of achieving dreams, we are so proud of our class of 2024 graduates from the OEC, ABE 279 Online, Park Center Senior High, Osseo Senior High, and Maple Grove Senior High. These scholars are now on their next adventures and prepared to take on the world, thanks to all of the Osseo area school staff who aided in their educational journey. Many end-of-the-year celebrations took place at schools across the district at the end of the school year. Fifth graders at Basswood said goodbye to elementary school with a parade around the outside of the school, cheered on by their families, staff, and other students. To celebrate Principal Daniel Wald's retirement, staff and students at Cedar Island Elementary lined the halls to say goodbye and cheer on Principal Wald as he made a final lap of the school. The students all held up pictures of Principal Wald over his years at Cedar Island. This included little cookies that had his faces on it. It was pretty cool. Maple Grove Middle School hosted an end-of-the-year celebration for its 8th grade students on the last day of school. The students enjoyed food trucks such as wood-fired pizza and Ben & Jerry's ice cream, and a DJ and wide variety of games and activities. Zanewood Community, a STEAM school, 5th graders gathered for a moving up ceremony. 2 students were selected to speak at the event, and others were given STEAM awards for their efforts in science, technology, engineering, art, and math programming. Each student was given a certificate of completion award. Rice Lake Elementary celebrated the end of the school year with a 5th grade send-off event on May 31st. The ceremony included an opening speech, a reader from each 5th grade class, and the presentation of certificates. Graduating seniors also visited their elementary schools the last day of school to walk through the hallways one last time, giving thanks to their former teachers, and inspire some of our youngest learners. CCX Media recently joined the Osseo Education Center as they set sail from the Wayzata Yacht Club on a sunny day in May. The students learned about sailboats and how to raise the sails and steer. Many artists from Maple Grove Senior High School, Osseo Senior High, and Park Center High Schools recently competed in the Minnesota State High School League Section 4AA and 5AA Visual Arts Festival. Students whose works were considered best in show by one of the judges were awarded spotlight on the scholarship awards and were represented at the MHHSL State Art Festival. Maple Grove Senior High junior Kat Bierce and senior Miranda Blank, and Osseo Senior High School senior Olivia Teckham was awarded spotlight on scholarship awards. District student athletes have recently competed in spring state tournaments. Here are a few of the highlights. The Maple Grove girls golf team are back-to-back state champions. The Maple Grove senior boys golf team took 3rd place at the 2024 AAA state tournament. Maple Grove senior Ryan Stendhal was named Mr. Golf Minnesota. The Osseo Orioles adapted softball CI team, representing all 3 high schools, placed 4th in the 2024 state adapted softball CI tournament. The Osseo Orioles adapted softball PI team, representing all 3 high schools, were the consolation champions in the 2024 state adapted softball PI tournament. Osseo senior Linton McPherson placed 2nd in the boys 110-meter hurdles. Osseo junior Quinlan Runquist, senior Earl Peter, sophomore Ben Sandvik, and senior Cade Sandvik placed 3rd in boys 800-meter relay. Maple Grove freshman Summer Ode, freshman Rebecca Lang, sophomore April Watson, and freshman Mackenzie Lowe placed 4th in the girls' 800-meter relay. Park Center senior Brianna Benjamin placed 6th in the girls' triple jump. Maple Grove Senior High School artist and senior Sarah Collins has developed her passion for art over the years in middle and high school. She likes to use symbolism in her art and paint the things she sees around her. Recently, the work she has done to develop her advanced placement portfolio has resulted in awards and recognition, including a Congressional Art Award and Best in Show at the District 279 Art Show at the Maple Grove Government Center. 37 Osseo area schools student athletes signed letters of intent this spring in signing ceremonies. Congratulations and good luck on your next endeavors. In the area of contributing to community, District 279 Foundation strives to support learning and be an accessible partner for teachers and schools. During the 2023-24 school year, trustees selected 42 innovative and creative projects to receive $57,341 in funding in our Osseo area schools. A few of the projects include Adult Basic Education's Minnesota Nature class, Brooklyn Middle STEAM school visits from a Minnesota percussion trio, Fair Oaks Elementary School's Eggs to Chicks, Osseo Senior High School's HOSA 2024 State Leadership Conference, Woodland Elementary School's Kindness Retreat. In addition, $13,000 was invested in media centers for learning resources thanks to the Reading is Fun 5K. 70 students, staff, and volunteers were recognized at the 2024 Investment in Youth Celebration.
Members of the Osseo Senior High School chess team visited Elm Creek Elementary School twice in May to teach and play chess with 4th and 5th graders. The high school students were impressed with how eager the elementary school students were and how quickly they learned. Coach Paul Sakharov said, "All of my players really enjoyed the opportunity to teach and coach young kids in this great game. They want to come back next year." Our next area is lifelong learning. High school Real Talk students, Racial Education Awakening Liberation, participated in a Juneteenth event at Osseo Senior High School on May 31st. Almost 200 students came together to celebrate and engage in various field day style events. Schools and sites across the district hosted end-of-the-year barbecues to bring together students, families, and staff. Students put their physical skills to the test at the end of the school year with field day style events such as at Basswood, Edenbrook, Fernbrook, and Woodland Elementary Schools. Other end of the school year outdoor fun included 279 Online's elementary get-together at Central Park in Maple Grove and Parkbrook Elementary School's tree planting event. Students also engaged in various unique learning activities at the end of the school year. 5th graders at Rush Creek Elementary put their STEM skills to the test when they launched their bottle rockets into the sky on June 5th. Their innovations soared high into the air as their classmates and families watched. Students at Elm Creek Elementary participated in Camp Baldwin. Activities included a water balloon toss, making structures with marshmallows, flashlight reading under the stars, an ice cream social, and various crafts. 4th grade students at Palmer Lake Elementary worked on an interdisciplinary learning project about plastic. They then presented their findings to family and other students on May 30th and May 31st. 1st graders at Rush Creek Elementary took a bite out of reading with a Rush Creek Reading Restaurant in their library media center. They sat down at their tables and had a magazine for an appetizer, followed by an animal book for their main course, and a book about food for dessert. On May 14th, Osseo Area Schools Early Childhood and Family Education celebrated 50 years of early childhood family education in Minnesota. To mark the significant half-century milestone, early childhood staff and volunteers invited families, current and former staff, and the community to an outdoor spring social event. On May 14th, staff and 5th graders at Fair Oaks Elementary School celebrated Minnesota Hmong Day. Parents of the 5th graders were invited to come and participate in the engagement activities as well. In one classroom, students learned how to sew a Hmong story cloth. They watched a video and then got to work creating their own. In another classroom, students watched and participated in Hmong dances led by 5th grade student leaders. In the final classroom, students made and tasted various Hmong food and drinks. 8th grade students at Maple Grove Middle School got to choose from nearly 24 local workers in a variety of fields to hear about their career experiences for a Tell Me About It career panel on May 15th and 16th.
For 2 nights in May, district elementary schools hosted multicultural nights at their schools, Garden City and Palmer Lake. Both events were colorful and flavorful affairs with foods from several different countries, cultural dress from around the world, and cultural craft projects around every corner. 5th graders from Basswood Elementary School recently participated in a career fair. The career fair included over 40 volunteers from a variety of fields, including nurses, veterinarians, and event planners. A fire inspector, a barber, an attorney, an electrical engineer, a therapist, an interior designer, and even a horse trainer accompanied by a mini horse. Zanewood Community, a STEAM school, put on a successful STEAM Fest May 16th with both school day and evening components of the event to show off scholars' STEAM-related work throughout the school year. The District 279 Elementary Orchestra program wrapped up this year with a celebration of music May 8th and 9th at Osseo Middle School. 570 students participated in 3 orchestras over the course of these 2 evenings. Community Education's 4-Star Express pre-kindergarten students, parents, and staff from 2 elementary schools gathered outdoors at Oakview Elementary School on May 23rd for an on-site field trip featuring a fire truck and a meet and greet with firefighters from the City of Maple Grove's Fire Department. Afterwards, families enjoyed an outdoor picnic on the school lawn. 2nd graders at Rush Creek Elementary School have been playing different dice and card math games this school year to reinforce addition, subtraction, fractions, place value, and multiplication. On May 21st, the 2nd graders invited an adult family member or friend to join them for dice and donuts. Parkbrook Elementary School and the City of Brooklyn Park teamed up for a chess club this spring, where 18 of the school's scholars spent Monday afternoons honing their chess game through puzzles solved on the board together and gameplay with peers and coaches. In the area of mission-driven employees, LaRoyce Bolt, social studies teacher at Osseo Senior High School, was named a KS95 Teacher of the Week. Bolt was nominated by one of her students and recognized on air by the morning show hosts. One of her students wrote in the nomination, "She cares for her students and she helps them with knowledge, even when they are going through a hard time. She is very caring, not only for the students she has in her class, but all the students at the school. She knows how to light up a room, and her positivity is contagious."
On June 7th, Osseo Area Schools General Counsel Amy Moore received a recognition from the Minnesota State Bar Association at the State Public Law Annual Meeting Luncheon and Award Ceremony. Moore was selected to receive the association's Civil Attorney Award of Excellence. Congratulations to Amy. So thanks to all of our students and our fabulous staff and our fabulous families for your efforts to make 2023-24 a successful year. I'm so proud of all of our tremendous accomplishments, and we look forward to just becoming even better. Osseo Area Schools will provide free meals to children through the federally funded Summer Food Service Program from now through August 8th. Any child 18 years of age or younger may participate. Meals will be provided during the allotted time frames and must be eaten on site. So to learn more, go to district279.org/summer meals. And make sure to continue to stay tuned. District-wide back-to-school information is expected to be shared late July, early August. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Heil. Our next agenda item is school board reports. Director Brooks, do you have a report?
No reports.
Director Douglas?
No reports.
Director Prince?
No reports.
Director Mitchell?
I do. We just had our final CPAC committee meeting of the school year, and it was fun to go over the positive reviews from the community outreach event in May. People really liked the free classes and the variety of classes. And we celebrated the exciting news that there's no wait list for Kids Stop, right, Brian? So that that was very fun and positive. Thank you.
Okay, and I have one report, District 287. They reported on their graduation, had a great graduation video, and their food services, and approved the principal's contract. I would also like to take this moment to say that on the 11th of June, Maple Grove Senior High hosted a memorial service for Officer Mitchell, whose family resides and attends Osseo area schools. The board would like to honor his service not only as a Minneapolis police officer, but also as a highly involved parent at Rush Creek. We want to thank him for his service, and our hearts are with his family. At this time, the board will be taking a brief recess and then reconvene in the forum room for a closed session. The session is closed pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D.03 for labor negotiations with directors and confidential managers. Is there a motion to recess the regular meeting for 10 minutes and reconvene in the forum room for a closed session?
So moved.
Motion by Director Prince. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Director Brooks. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries 5-0. This meeting is recessed at 7:36 p.m. and the school board meeting will adjourn at the conclusion of the closed session. Thank you for coming tonight.